Peacock are a Chinese brand. However, their watches aren't entirely affordable. That's because they are giving you a very high quality watch for the money. In fact, I would say if these were Swiss watches, they would cost tens of thousands of dollars, but because they are Chinese, they are significantly cheaper. But what you are getting is pretty incredible. The watch that we're looking at today is a tourbillon that gets a hand guilloche dial. If this was from a Swiss manufacturer, I guarantee you it would be very expensive, but it's from Peacock. And I have one hands-on, so let's flip the camera and take a look at a very affordable, very beautiful and modern tourbillon from Peacock. I associate Peacock with high-end Chinese watchmaking. They put a lot of effort into all of their watches, and they make a lot of different tourbillons as well. They are also suppliers for some major brands and some micro brands as well. One that always comes to mind is Atelier Wen. They make very high-end watches that come in at a very good price because a lot of what is being used is made in China, specifically their dials, which are hand guilloched, and this gets a hand guilloche dial. So the purple that you're seeing on this dial is done by hand. That pattern is done on a rose engine. That is pretty cool and obviously not very common. This is also a tourbillon. This gets a purple movement. So what you're seeing there really isn't the dial, it is the movement, and that guilloche pattern is applied to the movement. When you flip over the watch and you look at the movement is purple. And it's finished really nicely. There's actually beveled edges. When you get up close, it looks really good. This is in 904L stainless steel also, so a little bit different from what you normally see in your run-of-the-mill Chinese watch, because they are putting a lot more effort into the details. And it's the details that really matter when we're talking about watches like this. Chinese tourbillons, there are a lot of them out there these days at all different price points. You can pick up one for around $500 and they go all the way up to tens of thousands of dollars these days because there are Chinese brands making some really high-end watches. This dial gets a lot of depth, but it's really not a dial. Like I said, there's just some portions of it that are actually a dial. Most of it is just the movement. You can see at the bottom of this layered dial is the movement. That's that purple that you see there. Where that 12 is sitting, that large plaque, that is, I think, the dial. And then there's a portion below that, also in a darkened color. And of course, you have the tourbillon at the 6 o'clock position. They're skeletonized hands. There's just a little bit of lume on those so you can see the time in the dark. And then you get a really nice crown on here that is signed with the Peacock logo. The case itself is very nicely finished. You can see here you have polishing on the inside of each one of these lugs. There's a large line of polish along the case. When you flip it over, there's a screwed in case back. The crown is not screwed in, obviously, because this is a hand wound watch. It gets 50 meters of water resistance. You have a sapphire crystal on the front and back, 904L stainless steel for the case, and of course the buckle. The buckle is very custom. When you look at this, there's a number of different finishings on this buckle alone, and it looks fantastic. It's very custom. It says Peacock on it. So this is not something, off the shelf. Everything here is pretty custom. Even the movement is custom. Peacock are probably supplying this to other manufacturers. In fact, I know they are. However, they make this a little bit more special than what they are giving to other brands to use. Obviously, they are putting a lot into this dial. This is a limited edition of 100. I believe this version has already sold out, or it's 99 or 100, something like that. There are a few other colors available. The purple was my favorite, and that's why we are looking at the purple today. This is a 41 millimeter watch with around 48 millimeter lug to lug and an 11 millimeter thickness. On my wrist today, I have a Heuer. This is before it was Tag Heuer, and this is a 510-501. It is a vintage watch that I have for a few years now. I absolutely love it, powered by a Lamagna movement. And there it is on my 7.5-inch wrist. You could see when I move it around, there's a lot of depth to that dial. It's not incredibly thick considering the amount of depth that you're getting on the dial. And you get a calf leather strap. So this is a suede strap. It's made out of calf leather. It looks really good on here. I'm glad they didn't put an embossed strap or something like that. And I always say this with watches like this, I'd rather it in stainless steel. So this is 904L stainless steel, uncoated. And I was saying before, Peacock in general represent to me higher end Chinese watchmaking. When you look closely at the movement, when you look closely at the case, the feel, the fit, the finish, the quality, the overall design is just a little bit more than when you normally see from an AliExpress brand, because that's what people think of when they think of Chinese watchmaking. However, this is taking Chinese watchmaking to a new level. You have a beautiful tourbillon movement that they put a lot of work into, and I think it looks fantastic. And there's lume. Obviously, very little lume on the dial, the hands actually. There's just a little bit of lume on the hour and minute hand. That is it. Price on this is $2,299. That's for the limited edition. I'm not sure if the price changes for the non-limited editions. I will put a link to the other colors down in the description below, basically the landing page for this watch. So definitely check these watches out on the Peacock website. They have a few different colors and a few of them have sold out because they are pretty popular and really good looking watches. When you look at a watch like this, it looks like, you know, if it was a Swiss watch, $100,000 watch, but it's not. It's a $2,000 watch, or just over $2,000, which in the grand scheme of things seems pretty expensive, but really isn't when you think about what the competition are charging. Heuer, Tag Heuer, they made one of the cheapest tourbillons that the Swiss have ever made, and that was around $15,000. So just to put it into perspective, and nothing was handmade on that watch, and it was not in 904L stainless steel. Yeah, just saying. Anyway, guys, tell me what you think of this watch down in the comment section below. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell icon. It is super helpful for the channel, and I very much appreciate it. Anyway, guys, thank you for logging on. Thank you for watching this video. I will catch you guys in the next video.